Hello and welcome to the Jarrett Hill Show. I am Jarrett Hill. You all can't see this, but producer Danielle is on the screen kind of giving us, who is it? Lisa from Bob's Burgers? Tina. Tina from Bob's Burgers. We're having a good time. It's the last episode here of the season, episode 12. We are talking about wanting to leave. Particularly the question of leaving the United States. Is this a place that I want to stay, that I want to be? I think that as we are in this moment in this country of watching the empire fall, whether or not you think it is, the decision of like what to do in the midst of this is really the interesting question right now. And I know for myself, I'm wanting to leave. And I don't know that I'm making a decision about leaving forever or renouncing my citizenship or anything like that. But it's like, for right now, the shit this country is doing, I don't know that I need to participate. And so there are many people who are asking this question. There's a lot of data that shows us that. I wanted to talk to some folks who have made the choice to leave in the last couple of years and like get a sense of what that means. And I also wanted to talk with folks who particularly were Black folks, queer folks, folks around my general age range to get a sense of like what that looks like. So we are going to be having some really great conversations today. I've had conversations with folks in Mexico and Vietnam, and I think you're going to get some interesting distinction between their experiences, but also like maybe answer some questions for you about the different ways that you could be considering whether or not you're wanting to leave. The decision conversation is with Nick Guillory. You may know Nick from BuzzFeed, from his various different kinds of content on the internet machine. But Nick and I talked from Vietnam. It is late at night here. It's about 8 p.m. for us here. It's 10 a.m. for Nick. And we were able to have some conversation around the distinctions about being Black, about being queer, and why he is in Vietnam right now. He's been moving around to various different places, and you can check out his content on YouTube and on all the different platforms. Black Gay Boy Abroad is his platform where he's kind of telling the story of what it's like to be traveling abroad. So check out my JQ&A with Nick Guillory. Nick Guillory, thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful for you joining me from Vietnam, where it's 10 a.m. in the morning. Yes?
Yeah, it's very early. Well, not very early, but early.
I love that you say that 10 a.m. is very early because that's early for me. I'm like, that's early morning stuff for me. So this is a morning show for you, essentially.
Yeah, we're on the Today Show.
You're on the Today Show. Okay, so I think we should start off by telling people where you are, how long you've been there, how you got to Vietnam.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, hey everybody. So I got here not like 2 months ago. Crazy to say that out loud because it's gone so quickly. And I did so much in so little time where I was almost burnt the F out. Like I had to chill. So that's what led me to where I'm at now, which is Da Nang, Vietnam. And that is a beach town. And if anyone knows anything about me, I love the beach. I love a sunset. I love a sunrise. But child, I gotta have some Vietnamese coffee to see the sunrise because it's a little too early for me. But
Okay.
I love it here. I'm so grateful that I finally bit the bullet, whatever you want to call it, and took my butt to Vietnam. Like I'm here finally. I've been hearing so much about this place, and now I'm here to finally see why everybody's talking about Vietnam.
Okay, so before we come back to why specifically Vietnam and what people have been saying about Vietnam and what brought you there, you decided to leave the United States a little over 2 years ago. Is that right?
Yes, thank you, Jesus.
Talk to me about where you were in your life. What kind of brought you to like, baby, it's time to go.
Wow. Well, what a loaded question. If anyone has the emotional willpower these days to turn on the television and watch the news, you would know that is definitely one of the reasons. Like the news was atrocious before I left, and it was kind of driving me crazy. And I left before even the T word got back in the office again. So it wasn't even really about him specifically. It was just about the overall political climate and how nasty it had gotten. I was just done. And then I was also living in New York City, paying $3,300 in rent. And I was like, it's time to stop paying this much rent. The rent is too high. And my my mental health was plummeting. Like, I know people romanticize New York City, people romanticize New York, and that's fine. It's lovely. I had a great 5 years there. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I survived, but I came out a little bit wounded.
Mm.
So I think it was just finally time to, you know, get rid of that stress of living there and sort of discover what else I had in store. And that's when my blog and my new like business venture, Black Gay Boy Abroad, kind of came about. And I know we're going to probably get more into that, but I just wanted to throw in a little plug right there.
Well, no, actually, I do want to kind of hang out right there because I know for myself and for many other people like me, there that last little bit though actually is the thing that I think is maybe calling folks, right? And I know for myself, there's been something about seeing how I showed up outside of this context in America when I was on sabbatical that has made me
Mhm.
really curious about like, I wonder how I could be different or what how life could be lighter or better or more interesting or not this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I were in another country, if I were doing something else. And the thing that I've been pondering for myself is going to culinary school in another country because I'm really interested in culinary school, and that would be a way to kind of immerse myself. You had something that was kind of calling to you, and you found the blog, you found the storytelling, you found this life that you are kind of developing and living in front of us. Can you talk about how that kind of unfolded? Because I'm sure it didn't happen immediately.
Right. Yeah. With anything, it takes a minute. So I was working as a talent manager for a company that shall remain anonymous. But I was working for them, child, I was working for them. Okay. And it never felt like enough. Okay. Like every corporate job, right? I feel like I'm just like spewing the same story that everybody that looks like me says. It's never
Yeah.
enough. You got to do more, 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 and more. And I'm like, well, damn, y'all work at me like we in the 1800s. What's going on? And I'm like, okay, it's time to sort of check myself and how do I get out of this situation kind of vibe. So we had a conversation, and then the next thing you know, I was gone. Okay. So
Mm,
sometimes you have to have those conversations with your bosses. Like, listen, this is not working for either of us. I think it would be great for us to settle this agreement in the good way. So we settled the agreement and I went on about my way. And so obviously I was sitting on the beach drinking Modelo's and figuring out my next move. And I'm like, okay, I think the easy segue here is finally doing what I have always wanted to do, but never really had the A time to do it or B, the actual like fire under me to do it. And 6 months of unemployment, honey, does not last long. So we got
mm.
to figure out how to make some revenue here. So I mean, I'm like okay on the camera. I can run my mouth. I can yap. Like people enjoy my content, I think. So I'm like,
People
well,
enjoy your content. Don't do it. People enjoy your
okay.
content. Like, come on.
I don't know. I don't know. The algorithms be suppressing me. So I don't
Well,
know if
there
it's the
is that
algorithm.
too. But those are two different conversations. Amen.
Yeah, amen.
Sorry.
So, I mean, I just said, you know what? Let me get on Chat GPT and talk to Homegirl and see what I can do to
Mm,
help like create some revenue. She's like, why don't you do old school blog? You worked on a blog basically when you were at BuzzFeed. So marry that BuzzFeed experience. You like to travel. You're interesting to some degree. And you have created content in the past. So why not marry all those things that you've done into an old fashioned blog? I'm like, girl, what the hell? Who is reading blogs still? But people read blogs. Like, ask B. Scott. Like, people still reading bscott.com, you know? So at the end of the day, I'm like, damn, that's actually brilliant. I don't really have to do that much work either, right? Like, I can write an article here and there and it'll get passive clicks while I'm sleeping. And that's what sort of happened. Honestly, I just started writing. about Puerto Vallarta, where I was living. I started writing about Mexico. And then I started branching out more and started writing about more like the world experiences I've had. And next thing you know, one thing led to another, and boom, blackgayboyabroad.com was like popping. People were chattering about it. My social media was starting to get more attention. I'm like, damn. So, okay, people really needed like a personal brand from me to interact and engage with my content more. And something finally clicked, and I said, oh, it's over now. Like, we're going to the world, we're going to the beyond. Like, we're moving past just black gay boy in Mexico, and we're going abroad. So that's what led me to Asia.
I love that. That's actually,
Blabbing. That's the story.
well, say what happened?
I said I was blabbing a lot, but that's the story.
No, I that actually resonates with me really deeply because as a person who's been making content my entire life, one of the things I realized was like, oh, that's why I know Nick because we were at BuzzFeed. I believe we overlapped. I was at BuzzFeed for a brief time. Um, and I've seen your face, I've known your name for a while, and I'm like, oh, as a person who makes content, I'm like, there could be something interesting in this feeling of wanting to leave, as we've been titling this episode, but also of like telling that story, right? And I think you are such a great example of what that can look like. um I'm curious if you've one of the guilts that I felt when I was thinking about like I was on sabbatical and I was like, I don't even feel like I want to go back to the States. And I felt a guilt thinking about the ways in which this country is changing and the ways that it is harming my communities and all of those different things. And I was like, oh, I feel like I should be fighting for this or that. And I was also like, I don't even know that if I really feel that, or if I feel like I'm supposed to feel that, or if it's like some American propaganda shit, or like I don't know what it is. I see you laughing, so I'm guessing you can relate to what I'm saying here.
Oh, for sure. I feel okay, a couple of things. I feel FOMO sometimes, like the
Mm,
presidential Obama Center. I wanted to go to that opening. Baby, I would have been there
hmm.
with my pearls on, okay? Like wearing my tan suit. I love Obama. I wasn't there though.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of FOMO when it comes to that. I feel FOMO when it comes to the World Cup. I feel FOMO when it comes to the 250. Just kidding. I don't care.
Wow. Not the
I feel
250. Come.
right. I feel FOMO when it comes to, the protests and all that stuff. But listen, I've been there. I've done that. And it still seemed like it wasn't enough. So, baby, it's time to do something for me. Okay. I will fight from afar. I will repost all day long. But listen, I have to do something for me. I'm tired. Like, and I'm only 39. I can't imagine how the older generation feels, like my dad's generation. Like these people have got to be exhausted because they've been through hell. And it's like,
Well,
I don't want to
even
live my being exhausted. Like, I feel like that's silly. You only get one time to do this. So why be exhausted? My mom died of a heart attack. I don't want to be the next person that dies from a heart attack being exhausted, you know?
yeah, no, that resonates deeply. That resonates
Mm,
deeply. I'm like, I am in a moment where I'm like, I graduated from divinity school and I'm not Christian anymore. I don't trust the institution of Christianity or really religion. I have been American as long as I've been Christian, and I don't trust the institution of America anymore. I've been a media
oh,
creator since I was 15 years old, and I'm like, I don't even trust the media in the way that I have over the years,
me?
and I don't feel good about it. So I
Yeah.
I hear you. I really hear you. Okay, so
Yeah.
I guess I would imagine that the thing that people are asking you is like, oh, well, how do I do this? Right. And it's like, there's no easy answer for like, oh, this is what you should go do. But I think that I would more so be curious for you to answer, like, what did you need to change in your thinking? Like, what was the way that you needed to like approach this? And I don't even mean like to go, but like to go, but also to stay and to continue going.
Yeah.
What did you need to be thinking about differently? How did you need to be feeling differently to do this?
That's an amazing question. Honestly, to be real with you, I I just had to start thinking more about myself. And I know that may come off a little like self-righteous, self-grandiose or whatever. But at the end of the day, baby, who else is gonna give a shit about me? Oh wait, can I cuss?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Absolutely.
like
Get your fucking life.
who else is gonna care about me? My mom is gone. My dad obviously cares about me, but my mom was my biggest cheerleader. And I said when she passed away, I was going to start living my life unapologetically, even more than I already was, because I know that's what she would want me to do. And at the end of the day, who else is going to do that but you? So I had to do that. That was my only option. Otherwise, I would have felt like a failure. And I know I have so much potential. Like when you really want to be something or do something, you have to just kind of get a little delusional in your head and like just start breathing, thinking, and eating and sleeping that way. And that's what I do. Like I know I'm destined for this travel brand or whatever you want to call it at this point. Some days I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm just living, simply living my life on my own terms, the way I want to do it, and kind of hushing those naysayers. Because, baby, I know I got haters. Some of them are in my family. And at the end of the day, some of them are very confused as to what the hell is going on with me. But guess what? I know what's going on with me. And that's all that matters.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. When
I
you
think
figure that out,
that
like you'll go far. Like it's so like, and it's nobody that even taught me that, right? I kind of discovered that way of thinking on my own. Like I was like, you know what? I gotta start drinking some damn delusional juice because this whole thing that I'm doing is not working the way I want it. And I only have a certain amount of time here, and I don't even know if it's like gonna be that time. Like, I don't know how long I'm here for.
that part that
You
part
know?
because I think to myself like one of my best friends, we talk about this often about the wanting to leave. It feels urgent right now,
Yeah.
but it feels like it could be an emergency at any given moment, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like I need to leave today, but it feels like we got to get up out of here. Like you know what I mean? Like it's about it's not just me, right? It's about time to go head on. And I'm like, I can feel that, and I'm like, I want to make that kind of move for myself and figure out what is required to do that. But I also think to myself like, I feel the fear of like wanting to leave but like not knowing if it will work, but also having examples of like you and other people and even my own experiences of like it can work, you can
Yeah.
do it, this is achievable. So
And
I'm grateful for that.
oh, sorry. And I get
No.
that. Listen, this has not been easy. This whole thing for the past 2 years has not been easy at all. I don't want to romanticize it at all. I've talked about the struggles of it because I'm one of those people that I am not going to be sitting on a beach with a yoga mat every day and thinking that my life is just so fabulous, honey, because it ain't. That's not real. I'm the kind of person that is going to always be real and truthful and authentic. And I think that's really what sells you as a creator when you are yourself. And I am not afraid to be myself. I don't need to be nobody else. I don't need to lie. I've been accused of lying. I'm like, girl, lie about what? Who has the time to lie about what I'm doing? Like, they're like, oh, you've been lonely. I'm like, yeah, sure, I've been lonely. But like at the end of the day, that's not my everyday story. So what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. It's like when you want to do something though, this is what I'm learning about life. When you really want to do something, if you don't start taking the action and the steps to do it, you're never going to do it. You're just going to sit there and continue to just say, I want to live abroad. I want to be married. I want to go on a trip. Well, girl, go on a trip, get married, go move abroad. Like at the end of the day, you can't just sit there all your life saying what you want to do. You have to do it. Period.
So apparently my segment producer Jessica asked you to drag me, and I don't appreciate that.
Oh, my
So we're gonna
bad.
get out of here.
Look, he kicking me off the show, y'all.
Yeah, no.
Like Nene,
Thanks
like
so much
Nene.
for being here, Nick. We appreciate it. Get him out of here. Oh, my God. No, I'm kidding.
I'm dead. I was about to do a Nene Leaks, close the laptop.
Exactly.
I don't mean to drag, but like seriously,
No,
like
you're right. You're absolutely right.
you have to do it. And the older we get, the more we procrastinate. I'm the hugest procrastinator ever. So I will literally just be like sitting on, I have hours of footage. Last night, I started just putting shit together. I got to get these YouTube videos out. I have no other choice. We got to get some revenue. What's happening in July? Where the sugar daddies at? They ain't calling me. So
Now that's
hello.
the app, website, blog that we need to start.
Listen,
Sugar
can we
Daddies
already?
Abroad.
I can't.
We'll talk about that after we end this recording. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you also like giving this kind of example to me and to other folks of like of a possibility. And I find like over the years my life and work has been a lot of that, and I know the value that it has to people. So and I can speak to that personally of like, oh, this is a possibility for me because I can see like, oh, this is actually very achievable because someone's doing it. So thank you for that.
Of course. That's my listen, ultimately that's my goal. Like I enjoy making other people realize their full potential and I get it. I get the whole like panic, anxiety. Like I understand it because I lived it. So now I'm finally like, whoa, I get it. I can help you. Like reach out. I do consultation calls all the time with people and they're like, oh God, like I don't even know, like what am I gonna do for work? What am I gonna do for this? What am I gonna do for that? Well, babes, let's talk about it. The first step is admitting you have to talk about it with someone who's doing it. And then the second step is working through the next steps. That's it. It's easier than it feels when you're looking at it. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Okay. I I have some wheels
Not me
turning.
gagging you.
I have my wheels turning. There's some thoughts on some things that we should talk about. So I appreciate you
Cool.
being here and offering your storytelling as a possibility for myself and for all who come upon this conversation. So thank you, Nick. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Hopefully, I inspired you and others to do it. Get
You
out of
did.
there.
You did. You did.
Like
Okay. Now we've got to get into conversation with Tristen and Cece Sutton. They are a dynamic duo who have moved from Houston to Mexico, and they're going to get into where in Mexico they are, how they made the decision about what they're doing, and like how it has kind of grown in just a year. But they are such a fun pair of folks. Our conversation is very light, but also deals with some really challenging issues or questions that I find myself asking, and I know that many of you are probably asking as well. So I this is a longer conversation about what are the questions that people are asking, what are some of those answers, what are the places people are considering going, and how do you make those decisions, but also what are the ways that we should be showing up in those places when we get there so that we're not coming and replicating some of the things that we're hoping to escape here in other places. Check out my conversation with Tristen and Cece Sutton. Oh, welcome to the Jarrett Hill Show.
Hola, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk to y'all because I feel like I've been having conversations with people about leaving the United States for actually longer than I realized as I'm getting ready to say that. It's probably a few years now, the idea of wanting to leave. And I was talking with my producer's friends here about the idea of wanting to do a show around the idea of wanting to leave. And you all came up in conversation as like, oh, these would be some interesting folks to talk to about like this feeling, but also like the questions and the internal ways that this feels and those different kinds of things. So I'm excited for y'all's kind of perspective here. I would love for people to get a sense of who you are, how you kind of got to this moment, and I'm sure there's a very long answer there, but I'm more so like I'm sure you both have. Well, you guys have your own individual stories, and then how you came together, and then how you got here is what I mean.
We definitely gonna keep it brief.
Cece has the concise version, so I defer to her.
Well, yeah, tell people about how you got to being here in this moment.
Perfect. Well, first, let me say thank you to whoever pointed you in our direction. We're honored. This is an important conversation. You know, you mentioned that you've been talking about this for years now, but now it's serious. So we're now thinking about, you know, having conversations more so about not so much would it be nice to, but should I position my family in that direction based upon what's going on right now? But how we made this all come to life. Listen, we're community builders at heart. And before we even thought about moving abroad, our biggest thing was let's get somewhere where it feels like people want to get together and just enjoy life in general. So Mexico came up. Tristen was like, what about Mexico? It's close to home. All is well. Food is great. Beautiful weather. Let's do it. So we made that leap. And once we got here, I would have to give this over to Tristen because Tristen was the one who was the visionary for the whole melanated in Mexico. Okay, Steve.
I'll make my long story even shorter. So we have a group travel company called Sutton Adventures, where for the last 5 years, we've been taking strangers all over the world, Dubai, Greece, Maldives, things like that. So as you're going to all these different countries, you're meeting people who are, you know, are from the United States, and they're letting you know that, hey, I've been living over here for years, and hey, you should check it out or look into it. So that plants a seed to where now you go back home. It's like, you know what? I think I could start living in another country. And so that seed got planted. Then we started doing research. You know, we're doing a lot of business in Dubai, so we were considered there first. But like she said, we wanted something that's going to have close proximity, good quality of healthcare, speak English, and a few other factors that we could talk about later. But Mexico checked all those boxes. And so it's essentially how the Suttons got to Mexico.
Yes. And then the whole melanated in Mexico started about because Tristen was over this entire process. And one thing he kept saying is that this is lonely and daunting. Like, well, if I'm having a hard time figuring this out, I know other people could use a resource. So that's how
and real quick, the way I kind of came up with this idea was, I don't know if y'all remember back in college, but they used to have these tutoring companies that would help you prepare for a particular exam. They would maybe even find old exams and just get you prepared for it. And so I said, you know what if our people had something like this for this relocation process, because it's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of formulas, and a lot of things and components that can make it really hard for you to pass this exam. Mm-hmm. But if you have somewhere you can go to where, hey, we've already been through it, we've already know what questions they're going to ask, and we can get you across that line. That's kind of how we came up with this concept. We wanted to be a blessing to others.
So I want to say, just as a person who has been making media for, that's not important. 25 years now. I'm coming up on 25 years of being a media maker, and like looking at y'all's media, your videos and your website and the writing, I'm like, you guys have done a really, really beautiful job with Melanin in Mexico. So I just want to like say that to you all, that I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it looks very good. So as I was reading through it, I was very, very impressed with it. I want to go back to something that you mentioned early on, and then we'll come back to some other pieces. But you talked about how right now it feels, as my friends and I have been referring to it, it feels urgent, but not like an emergency, the idea of leaving the United States. That's how my friends and I have been discussing like the feeling of like, we got to do something, because, you know, and then that feeling is, when I say it's urgent, like you can tell that there's some things happening here. It's not an emergency, but there's also a clarity that it can become an emergency at any given moment, right? As we've seen time and time again. I see that resonating with you, Cece.
Absolutely.
Say a little more.
I'll tell you this. Things have happened so rapidly that I think we all sitting around blinking like, okay, what happened? Yeah. Even when we decided to move down here a year ago, it wasn't even because of all of this. It was just we wanted something different. So that just shows you how much has happened and how much has changed in a year's time frame. But what we're feeling right now is real. I think we need to sit in that. I think we need to acknowledge that things are what they are. And I think we need to be very realistic and look at this from a perspective of if it's happening to them, it can happen to us. Okay. I think the thing that a lot of people are getting discombobulated about is that they're trying to make a very, very important life decision at a time when they really don't need to make that decision. And let me be clear on that. A lot of people are thinking, okay, you know, if I do this and I got to move to Mexico, I got to move to Ghana, I got to move to Thailand, I got to move all these different places. But one thing about Mexico, which really resonates with a lot of our clients, is that you can come down here, secure your residency, put it in your pocket, and go back to the States and live your life as normal. Yep. And if you never need it, beautiful. But if you do need it, you got it. That's the conversation that's starting to happen now on this landscape, because we've seen so many things rapidly change from a global perspective, not even just the US. You know, from the angle that we look at things, we have to look at it holistically and just come to terms with this is what's happening. And although we as a people aren't used to have to getting up and moving around and doing all those things, for such a time as this.
Here we are.
Yeah. I think that a lot of us are even scared to talk about the idea of wanting to get up and leave. And I'm past that point for sure. But I know that when I mention it to people, the idea of leaving feels enormous. It feels like an enormous mountain to get over. And I know that you guys work with people on that a lot. I'm also thinking about like the feelings of it though. Like I know I took sabbatical last year after grad school, and I've talked about that a lot throughout this season. And like taking sabbatical for 3 months between London and being in Porto, Portugal, it just kind of gave me a bit of a reset that I needed. And one of the things that you all have talked about in your videos, that was a big part of me wanting to take sabbatical. You guys talk about hypervigilance being here in the United States, right? And you guys use the same language. It's that low grade hum of anxiety that you don't even recognize you have, because the system has been operating for so long that you don't even, I didn't even hear the fan was on for the last 3 hours because it's been going for so long, and you turn it off and it's like, oh, it's so much quieter in here. Right. And it's kind of that thing that I was looking for more than anything with taking sabbatical. And I would love to kind of get some perspective from you all on how that hypervigilance, that low grade hum, how you've heard people experiencing that and how it's changed when getting to leave.
I just want to attach something to what you just referred to in regards to the fan. Moving abroad, when you find a place like Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, it's like turning that fan off in your mind for your mental health and your physical health as well. That would be my initial perspective.
I'm going to tell you this. I completely underestimated how I was. I was good back at the age. You know, Houston, you know, we do what we do. But I told him probably about that last couple of months that were there, like, it's time to wrap this.
Yes, rapido.
Rapido. And I'm gonna tell you what really kicked it off, honestly, speaking very candidly. We both have corporate backgrounds. Mine was longer. I was the anchor, he was an entrepreneur, and then we became entrepreneurs together and started businesses and things of that nature. And this last round before we left, it felt like, how much money do we need to make to actually, like, when is enough before you just feel like things just completely continue to just go up and up, and you're forever finding yourself now. I told him, I feel like we're just working now, and that definitely ain't our life. That's not our life. We have a very vibrant.
That's not why he hung, bled, and died.
So the minute I started feeling like that, I told him, I gave him a fair warning. I said, I think it's time to start wrapping it up. I feel like we have completed our purpose here in Houston. There's nothing wrong with going ahead and exploring other things.
And then you also talk about just the lack of feeling safe in your own city.
Oh, yes.
To the point of that hypervigilance and that you know, we're in Texas, specifically Houston, Texas. So everybody has that thing on them. When I say everybody, literally everybody. So it's got to the point where I wanted to go to the grocery store and told her, hey, we got halfway down the street. I forgot my side piece. She said, turn around, go back upstairs and get that before we go to the grocery store. Now, context, the grocery store we're going to is not in a bad neighborhood. It's actually in Meyerland. It was a nice affluent part of town with private schools. So the store I was going into was not dangerous, but the environment of just the city, the state, the country, to where you don't feel safe enough to where you can just go buy some eggs without having to have something on your side.
Yeah.
That's not a good place to be.
Yeah, that's where he was with it from that aspect. I used to, I danced for 10 years and a lot of our events would go on at night. And I used to have no problem driving across town to go to these events. That last year, I don't go out like that anymore. Like I just genuinely feel I don't go out and get gas by myself. All the things that I used to do, I started to feel honestly like a prisoner. The only place that I felt safe was in my own home.
And when you get off work, what do? You go straight into the garage, stand at the door, make sure it goes down and no one slides underneath, and then you go in home. Barricade yourself inside, make sure all the doors are locked, the alarms are on, and rinse and repeat 7 days a week. And then you go to other countries and realize that's not normal.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting you say that, because I'm thinking about I love when people can make something really, really practical for you so that you can feel the texture of it. Like you just named like closing the door, locking the locks, waiting for the garage door to touch the bottom to make sure that nothing hit that laser, that it went back up, right? Making sure you know what I mean? Like making sure the back door is locked. Did you hit the alarm? Is the chirp chirp and the beep beep and the click click and the lock and the barkity bark, and like it's so much shit to just feel sort of safe. Right?
Sorta. Because remember, in Texas, we still got to make sure we got those pieces strategically around the house as well.
Well, and I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I was in Georgia for a number of years, and I went to school for a year in Kennesaw. And like they said that in this city, to own a home, you have to own a gun, right? Ooh. And I was like, you have to have a gun in the. I was like, this is a lot. Right. And I remember being in London that maybe the second week that I was there on sabbatical, and I had gone out to grab just like drinks with a friend of mine that I'd met. And she was American professor, friend of a friend, who was how I met her. And she had referred to London as being open carry as we were grabbing drinks at a pub. And I said, excuse me. She was like, alcohol. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what are you talking about?
She did that.
Yes.
Right. I was like, oh, okay. Open care. I see. Because it's a different culture, right? You can walk outside on the street in London and people are gathered outside the bar with their beers and things like that. And it's just like, oh, they have a different culture of living here. They see this differently than we do. They do this in a different way. Yes. And to your point about like not needing to always clutch to the same kind of systems, you don't even recognize the systems that you're running on until like you see how unnecessary they can be in other settings, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes. And just the minimum, I would call it the minimal hypervigilance, because see, we don't have children and a lot of other responsibilities that I know a lot of our clients have that make them come running towards the border. Yes. Like conversations now are, I got to get out of here. And I'm here. I'm looking at 6 to 12 months. We just had a client who moved down here in less than 3 months. I don't know how. Yeah, she just got here this past week. It was incredible. But she was like, no, I wasn't playing.
Drove from Dallas.
I got to be done with that.
Yeah. Just had
really
2 weeks ago. She was like, hey, thank y'all for helping me get my residency. I'm about to go back, sell my house, get things together. I'm thinking, people talk like, we'll see her in 6 months. She called us 2 weeks later, said, hey, I just crossed the border of Mexico. I'll be in y'all's neighborhood shortly. I'm like, whoa. People are not playing.
No.
I love. And then what are the reasons that you are finding people, like the top reasons that people are ready to go, are making these decisions?
I would say the top one is geo arbitrage, which is basically finding a way to make your US dollar stretch a little bit further in another country. So that's one, cost of living. 2, I would say overall safety. A lot going on right now back in Estados Unidos or United States. At the time of this recording, you just had a several hundred Caucasian YNs walk around the White House with some white Was it shiesty
I'm
mask
gonna
on?
I'm gonna stop you right here. The fact that you said Caucasian YNs, I almost took my earrings off. I'm not gonna play with you, okay? I'm not doing this with you. I'm
You
not.
can see them? All the poo shiesties.
That's exactly what I saw. Yes.
Please stop playing with me, sir. Please stop
If we
playing
were the
with
black
me.
ones, what do we call us? But if they were white ones and walk around the mall,
We will debate whether or not you can be a YN and Caucasian at the same time.
That's for another show.
That's for a different conversation on a
so it's a
different
play on
episode.
words. It's white national.
You know what? I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you have that. Keep on. Carry on.
So if you look at it from a vigilance and a safety and just a mental peace standpoint, yes, Mexico has its issues. The C word, the cartel, is a real deal.
Yes.
But we also have to look at what is surrounding us in the United States. I encourage everyone to pull out your phone right now, go to Google so you can go find this on your plan or your device. Don't think we
made up the number.
And just type in how many active gangs are in the United States of America. You'll be surprised by that number. Spoiler alert, it's going to say approximately 33,000 active gangs are in the United States.
33,000.
33,000.
33,000.
So every time you step out your door, you have the potential threat of Bloods, Crips, and all those flavors of gangs. The cartel has grad chapters in the United States. Let's not forget that. Biker gangs, certain YNs and things of that nature. So you're always surrounded by potential threats. But here in Mexico, they do have the cartel.
Absolutely.
But guess what? They kind of regulate each other. You got to also look at the thing that in Mexico, nationals aren't typically allowed to have guns. So out of 31 states, most of the people that you're walking on next door, live next door, don't have that thing on them. So there's that type of safety as well. So yes, there's an existential threat, but we have that at home as well, but a lot more flavors to choose from.
Yeah.
I am not in the everybody should move to Mexico movement. I'm not in big Mexico, right? But I will say that even to your point about just if we think about gangs, right? If we think about violence and crime and things like that, I think about how this is a country, the United States, that does not even like have a definition from the FBI for domestic terrorism, right? And like the YNs that you name, right? The that would be
White
folks that would not they are the ones that would not even necessarily be tracked by the FBI, or some of these folks in the ways that they don't even like have designations for them in certain ways. But also, many of those YNs are also getting hired up by ICE. These are other conversations about a different thing for a different type of conversation. But I'm just thinking about those things in particular, and I also think about how our media here in the United States does make it seem as if every other place is a terrible place to live, right?
Do you understand why they do that?
Baby. Well, and the way that I've been putting it here lately was like, we live at a certain intersection in the United States as Black folks where there's the intersection of American exceptionalism, and that crosses with the white supremacy that says this is the best thing that there is in the world. Right? Mind you, you ain't shit. You're not beautiful. You're not smart. You're not talented. You're not worthy. You're not capable. You don't ask for nothing. But this is the best that there is in the world. Right? And like for us as Black Americans, that intersection says that this is the best thing that there is. And I'm not shit and I don't deserve and I'm not worthy. That just can't be true. Right?
Why?
And so when you go somewhere else, you can see like, oh, it's interesting to be somewhere else where I don't feel like the system that I am operating in is telling me that I'm not worthy of shit and this is the best thing that I can have.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's like some mindsets, literally, like we have to start at ground zero with this. Like there are a lot of mindsets that really need to be changed about this. What we have observed is those who are well-traveled, they know.
Yes.
They get it. If you know, you know. Okay. And you come to the realization that, you know what? When I was in the States, I felt like the whole world was crashing in. The whole world is not crashing in though. People are perfectly
Yes.
fine over here, over there, over there. They sitting here looking at America like, are y'all gonna be all right? Y'all gonna pull it together? Like, we gonna have to come in and intervene?
They're
Like,
Daniel fast food.
exactly. So we have a tendency to think very close-minded. 50% of us, according to most stats, don't even have passports. So that right there shapes our mind as well. So you're right. The exceptionalism, the nationalism, and then I just really like to think of it very simply as in, if they tell everybody how wonderful all these other countries are, and everybody leave, who's gonna stay behind to pay taxes?
Wow.
So
Well, who gonna stay behind to pay taxes, to do whatever work there is left to do, to to arrest, to put into your prisons, to
Oh, you mean those ICE concentration camps?
this is not what we're supposed to be talking about.
Okay, pulling it back in.
I would like to just say, this was not the plan. I want to ask you guys a little bit more about you all see clients all the time that are coming from various different places around the country and asking various different kinds of questions. What are the questions outside of like, I think there's like a lot of financial questions, I would imagine, but just like different kinds of fears and things like that. What are the big questions that you guys get asked a lot?
You know, let me break down a little bit further to our demographics a little bit here that we tend to hear from. These people are kind of on the edge of getting ready to retire. They have the option to retire, but not quite ready to retire yet. Okay. The kids are in that last year, senior in high school. They about to wrap it up, boy. Everybody about to be out of here. In their minds, there's this very small window of opportunity to make this residency thing go, because they're also in between stages of having aging parents, and then they have kids home who are starting to have grandchildren. It's like this very small window, because their heartstrings are definitely with their family right now. What they're thinking about is my family. Like, I know Pookie need me, I know Tay Tay need me, but I gotta do this for us. Like, we've been doing all of this for all these people all this time. So you have married couples who are in that category. Then you have a lot of single people, men and women. Okay. Generally what's on their mind is, tell me steps 1, 2. Look at that face. Look at that face. Hold on.
That's me. You're
Go
talking
ahead.
about me. I just wanted to know
Oh,
that.
okay.
Carry on. That's me. Yeah.
That's you, friend. Okay, so that's you. Then you have people who are just like, give me steps.
You were saying the single people. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Single. They've done all they can in their city, and they usually tend to be the type of people who they was doing whatever they was going to do because they wanted to do it. They travel by themselves a lot of times. They don't wait for people to decide on things. They've offered it up to all of their family members, and hey, you're welcome to come. I'll give you the detail. I don't know nothing about that. So they go on. They're very independent in their thinking. All they want to know is, give me steps 1, 2, 3, so I can get over there.
And so some of the most common questions we do get are, do you have to speak the language right away? Do I have to renounce and denounce my citizenship like it's a Greek letter organization? Do I have to... Can I bring my car?
I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this.
I'm sorry. The cadence just took me over. So basically, the cost of living and things like that, does my dollar really stretch for the healthcare and safety? So those are the top series of questions we typically get from clients.
And then what ends up being the deterrent for people? I imagine money, but also like, what are the top deterrents that kind of slow people down? Because you said that when you heard from this other client, you expected, we'll maybe hear from her in 6 months, which tells me that's probably the more common thing, right? Like, what is the deterrent that you tend to find for folks?
The number one deterrent is getting a remote job that allow them to work abroad.
And then remote income. So not having that in place or not being able to live off retirement is putting a lot of brakes on a lot of people's bags being packed to make this happen.
Understood. I know that, again, this is not an ad, but I know that you guys work with people to help them find remote work and those kinds of different things as well as they're moving abroad. I'm kind of thinking like, if Mexico is not the place that someone wants to move, one of the videos that I watched from you all was kind of looking at the different places that Black Americans are moving. And I know that for myself, there's always an interesting list of different places that Black Americans can move. But I'm also thinking about the different places that Black Americans that are queer can move, right? And for myself, I know that when I'm thinking about Ghana or Nigeria, I'm not as energized because of the ways that being queer shows up there. But when you're thinking about places for Black folks in general, I really appreciated the way that y'all broke down how Black folks have to kind of ask certain kinds of questions, right? You guys talked about the reasons Black Americans are leaving, but also kind of like the way that you score the different places that you are looking at for people. And I really appreciated that you have safety and visa access and the Black community there. You talked about being community builders. And I think that for myself, I have been interested in that piece of like the idea of going somewhere, finding a place. Okay. The idea of like language and money and all of those different things. But like, what is it going to be like when I get there? What is it going to feel like to be there? How do I build community? And the first thing that started to happen for me was a very unexpected one. And I'm curious how this worked for y'all. I was in Portugal and I was staying with some friends, and they were talking to me about how they don't identify themselves as expats. They call themselves immigrants. And they were saying that they note that there's a difference between folks that refer to themselves as immigrants versus expats, because expats tend to really be interested in the culture. They want to learn the language. They want to immerse themselves in the community. They want to be part of the place that they're going to. And as I was looking at the way you guys talk about community and the ways that you want to immerse yourself in the places, I felt like, oh, these feel like my people, right? And like when I heard my friends there is talking about being expats versus immigrants, I was like, oh, this was an indicator for me that I didn't know that I was looking for. But it says to me that you care about community, that you care about people, that you care about this culture, and not just coming over here to have an American experience somewhere else.
Absolutely.
When y'all are thinking about building community, what does that look like for you so that experience of being there is something that is more holistic than just dropping yourself somewhere?
Absolutely. So a lot of us right off the bat, as you know, come here saying, where the Black folks at? So to us, community is us. Okay. But Tristen and I have a different mindset about it. When we actually first considered moving to Mexico, where the Black people at never even crossed our minds. Probably because we come from a very diverse city where our friends that we hung out with, the people we worked with, we already knew who they were. So I understand that community is important for my people, for my clients. I understand their need. It may not necessarily be my absolute need, but it's definitely theirs. And so what we do is we try to offer some transparency into what this really looks like, not only through our videos, but then inviting them down for a scouting trip. Okay. This scouting trip is intended for you to feel so immersed. Like the minute you leave, all of our clients always say, okay, I can literally like come and live here. Like right now, I know where everything is. So we find that that's very important to do early on while you're still trying to make this big decision. Let's just go ahead and touch the grass. See if it's really me. Go out into the community, connect, and then you can just make your assessment from there. You don't have to even guess. A lot of people are guessing, but you don't have to guess.
Immerse yourself.
Immerse yourself.
I feel like when I was in London, I started trying to find like events to go to where Black folks are going to be. Right. I went and found like a Black game night, and it was a great way for me to be like, oh, these are folks that are of similar age that came out to hear Black music and play Black games and whatever. But then I was also like, I want to go find some arts community. Let me go to museums, right? And like, it might be a lot more diverse of a community, because as you talk about this, it is interesting the ways in which being Black and American abroad shows up with other Black Americans, right? I remember being in DR with some friends, and like anytime you see Black Americans, like we see each other, right? And like it's always like, hey Black people, hey America, like hey cousin, right? That kind of thing, right? Like, And like we ran into some people in the airport and then saw them at the resort. We all had the same colors on. We taking pictures. Like, you know how Black Americans, our Black American experience is a unique thing. And then you go to London or to Portugal for me in these scenarios. And I was like, oh, Black Americans do that with each other.
Yeah.
But like Nigerians don't do that to Black Americans, or these folks from Mongolia are not doing that, or these folks from this country or that country don't do that the same. You recognize how the Black American experience is its own, you know, unique thing. How do you guys experience that in Mexico? Like, how do you see that show up for you all? I see you both laughing. Like, I'm imagining you both have stories.
Well, I'll start with the Black experience. Abroad is a gift and a curse. Just like you said, you see someone with your same melanin, you can't just automatically tell their nationality. So you, by default, muscle memory, go, hey, expecting them to return the favor, but you find out, oh, they're Nigerian or from Angola, and so they don't do that, and they're looking at you like you're going to rob them. So they cross the street now. So in a foreign country, it's a little unique because you have to check yourself. It's like, wait a minute, I said hi. Oh, okay, probably not from where I'm from. So.
Yeah. It's so different depending on everybody we run into. Some people are very, hey, cousin, and some people are like,
yeah, they bring that U.S. thing because, a lot of people in the States right now aren't speaking to a lot of people, from coast to coast. We've been here, I'm out in public. I'm trying to say hi to folks, and they're just kind of walking past me like I don't exist. My neighbors don't speak. They're just going abroad. So they bring that here.
Yes, I was just about to say, all we're doing is bringing our American ways here, not realizing that it's not okay not to say hola or, como te llamas, it's just speaking to each other. Here in Mexico, people speak. Yes. You hear me all day from sun up to sundown. We speaking around here, and they're very attentive. There's not a whole lot of, this. But I find that some of us that are here, we're still purging our American ways. And I think we need some... Or stuck in them. Some of us choose to stay there. But I would like to be on the optimistic side and say that them babies just still purging their American ways. It's one thing that I think also that we tend to do is when we move to these different places, and please tell me if you hear this as well, but we tend to think that racism is going to be everywhere. Okay. And I think that the conversation that we need to start having is it's not the same as the States.
Yeah, it's
not the same.
Here I don't feel like a Black man. I feel like a foreigner. Yeah. But I don't feel like when I walk into a building or a room that people are going to clutch their pearls or the purse. People are going to follow me around the store. Cops are going to, profile me. Yeah. I just feel like people just look at me as, okay, you're not from around here, but they just keep it pushing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think being a Black, queer, formerly Christian, these other things, like I think there's a lot of different ways that we immediately identify ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that being Black in America, you probably identify yourself Black first or second, right? Depending on what other ways you identify yourself. Yep. And so when you're in another country, it is interesting that I more quickly identify as American, right? And an American Black person, American whatever else, I don't know, but like people recognize you as being like, oh, you're American. And I worked on a cruise ship for a while when I was in my 20s, and it was the first time I ever thought to myself like, oh, being American isn't cool to everyone. Like everyone doesn't think that's awesome. And like we had just come out of George W. Bush as president, and like I felt like I got that before, but then you go outside of the country and you're like, oh, people don't just think you're cool because you're American. Some people actually kind of don't like that you're American or kind of roll their eyes at your Americanness. What is this?
That's a very eye-opening experience. I'm glad to hear you're probably, besides him, you're probably the only other person that I've met that has come to this epiphany of, okay, so y'all don't think we all that hot like that, do y'all?
Knees to everybody.
Yeah, he had that same experience in Dubai. And he was like,
yeah,
I guess I got to really think on that one. I thought that we were, and it really shaped how you look at how we move about the country and the world now.
You know, it really kind of changed
Yeah.
my perspective on the perception that people have of us as citizens of the U.S. I try to make this long story short. So you're in Dubai, you got the guys that drive you in the dunes in the desert. They're typically from, you know, India, Pakistan, things like that. So I'm talking to the guy. He's basically sounding like he doesn't have the most enjoyable experience. You know, he only sees his family 3 months out of the year. He shares a room with the other guys, so on and so forth. So, but I noticed he's a really good salesman. So I'm like, hey, man, you know, you should come to the United States and be a salesman. And this guy just kind of looked at me for a second, stared me in his eye, in my eyes, and just said, why would I want to move to the United States? And just stop there. And I'm just like, well, wow, you just told me you share a 1-bedroom apartment with 3 guys. You only see your family 3 times a year or 3 months out of the year, so on and so forth. We're the land of opportunity. Haven't you heard the news? And it sounded like
I'm good.
But the way he just looked at me, it was like, you've already heard the propaganda. You already know what I'm going to say. So I just kind of looked at him and just said respect. But that has never left me. The fact that someone in what we would call a dire situation was like, nah, I'm good. I'll pass on the U.S. I'd rather deal with this. And it just kind of makes you go, I wonder how many other people feel that way.
Yeah, again, that's probably a few hours of conversation that we could have around that, because I think that traveling abroad does give you a better sense of who we are in the world as opposed to how we operate
and who we
in
ain't
this zone.
and who
And
we
who
ain't.
we ain't.
That's
I think
good.
even maybe more importantly, who we ain't.
Yep.
Right? A small example, and I want to ask you guys one more question. I, to the point of like who we ain't. I grew up with a dad who is a car person, and I've always paid attention to cars in a little bit of a particular way. But like I remember going abroad and seeing different cars that I've never heard of, right? Different brands that I was not familiar with, that I maybe heard of online, and then some that I never heard of before. And then talking with people that were from America and being like, yeah, you know, they're actually, this brand is not even allowed in the United States. And I was like, well, what do you mean? They were like, yeah, the automotive brands won't allow certain things to be coming to the United States because they don't want to compete. And I was like, of course they are. Of course they are. Like, of course they are. That feels as American as anything, right? And it just gives you a little bit of an understanding of like,
yes,
the way we position ourselves with other countries is not always going to land in a certain kind of way. And like, if you are paying attention to anything, you should know that. But like, you start to see it in really practical, specific kinds of ways. And that was highlighted for me in myriad different kinds of ways. But yeah,
absolutely.
And it also gets a little shaky when you have a tariff tirade, you know, from your leader. So.
Absolutely. When people really rely on their sales for American audiences and American consumers and things like that. Absolutely. I appreciate what you guys were talking about, though. You guys have an anti-colonizer code that you referred to in one of your videos, and I appreciated the way that you all kind of put together this list of things that people should be considering. And like the number one thing was learn the language, and like. That feels like a really big thing to a lot of people, but it's like it really, really changes the experience of going somewhere else. And I was thinking about how my personality is different if I don't speak this language, right? I can't like read a person in the grocery store. Talk to me about how you guys came up with this list of things that you want folks to do.
So I like how you said that on the end, that you want folks to come down here and act right.
No, well, and I mean, because I want them to do it too. I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna come there and learn the language, like, you know what I mean? Like,
you really are representing the culture, and you know, as you're coming in, you know, we just all want to make sure we're all on the same page of what this is and what this is not. Okay, because everybody's coming down here with a different mindset and a different reason for wanting to come down here. But that list was genuinely just coming from a place of how would we want to be treated
if you let somebody in your house.
If you let somebody in your house, right? I want to make sure that you understand at least some of the language, or at least show me the effort. And effort goes a long way here. It's not that they're expecting you to be fluent.
No. There's many people that live here, multiple years that still aren't fluent and can't give you past Ola and Banyups. But as long as you make the effort,
Yes.
the local is going to respect that and try not to gringo tax you and things of nature.
Yes. It means so much. You really see these people come out. We've been invited to dinner by locals. We be at a store, they be like, you want to try some of our food? Like, they are just a very inclusive and familiar kind of people. So when you speak the language.
Yeah. But back to just that on a broad scale, when you go to any country, not specifically Mexico, it's just a universal sign of respect because you are a foreigner in their land. So trying to get them to adapt to you in your ways is just kind of rude. But also we want to talk about things like housing. We want to make sure that you try to get the fairest price as possible. That way you're not having a gentrification impact on the locals and forcing them out. We want to make sure that you support local as well, because just going to all the tourist spots and the other expat spots or the immigrant spots, that's great as well. But you once again are on someone else's land. You want to make sure you're supporting their economy as the best way you can as well.
Yeah. I will say, though, I'm very, very proud to say that 99.9% of the people that we talk to, they want to be like, I want to live where the locals at. I don't know the language yet, but I'm trying to be there. I'm trying to be where the outdoor market is. I'm trying to really immerse myself. And I find that we as a people share a lot of things in common with the Mexican culture. And one of them being just community and family. So it's very good to see that we're already along those tracks. Okay. But for those of us who kind of linger outside of that, that's what the anti-colonizer code is.
It's kind of like when you go to the bowling alley and they put those rails up, just kind of keep you on course.
I was bowling last night. It's a great reference you make. I did pretty well. So there's that too.
With or without the rails. With or without the rails.
Mind your business.
I love it. Oh.
Without the rails, thank you. Mind you, my first game was way better than the second and the third. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, before we let y'all go, I would love for you to tell people where they can connect with the work you're doing and what those pieces of work are that we might not have touched on just yet.
Absolutely. You can head over to melanatedinmexico.com. It is your one-stop shop if you're thinking about either moving to Mexico or just abroad in general. We have a lot of free resources on there to help you get started on this journey if you're thinking about it.
Yeah, check out the Black Sea Blueprint. Basically, it's a six-step roadmap. So to walk you through everything you need to know to move abroad. So specifically for Mexico, but you can apply to any country that you want to as well.
Yeah, and be sure to follow us over on YouTube. We put out a lot of helpful information. We really try to think from where you are right now and address those things. So subscribe, turn on your notifications so you don't miss it out.
I will say I find myself increasingly critical of media as a person who is finding that like all media is social now, like everybody's making everything now. So I really appreciate it when I find like content where I'm like, oh, they're really good. Like I like them, and you guys' videos, you have really great information. I think our producer Danielle, when she found you, I trust that part of what spoke to her, because I know it spoke to me, was knowing that there's like information that is useful. It's not just vibes. It's not just opinions. It's not like, oh, well, I ain't like that, so we ain't going back. Like it wasn't that, right? It is, you've got a spreadsheet, is a spread Keisha.
Yes.
She out there on the streets.
Well, what I appreciated about your list was it was not just vibes and Yelp reviews. It was like, no, this is rooted in data. This is like looking at like source material. This is coming from something. And the journalist in me appreciated that, and the person who appreciates people being thorough really appreciated that. And that was beyond it looking beautiful and having great design. So I really appreciate the work that y'all are doing, and appreciate you for being here and answering my questions and chatting with me. So thank you.
That means so much. You don't even know. This has only been going on for a year for us, but it feels like our cup overfloweth with just people who are just so, thank you so much. Like, and to finally see people moving here and making that transition, like,
it's surreal.
Yeah, it's surreal. So we appreciate it.
Well, congratulations to y'all, because for it to only be a year old, I can tell that it's you're doing something right, and I'm rooting for you. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. Low-key, I feel like Tristan and Cece are probably going to be friends of mine. I'm probably going to be meeting up with Nick somewhere in another country and hanging out. I feel like I know these people, and I feel like I'm interested to like be following their journeys. And they also kind of have me interested in whether or not I'm going to keep telling more of a story from somewhere else, or if I'm going to be traveling more, or what that's going to look like for me. Because as I am finding myself wanting to leave, I'm figuring out what that means for me practically. How do I afford that? Because I'm not making a bunch of money. How do I figure out the best place that works for me? How do I figure out how long to be somewhere? There's so many different questions, and also a lot of the feelings of like, I should be fighting for this country, this democracy, this land, and also feeling like I don't, that doesn't feel like it's mine all the time. There's a lot of debate that I'm having with myself around this moment, and we will see where we begin season 2. We'll be back here in September, in the fall, to give you 12 more episodes of the Jarrett Hill Show. I have heard that Danielle and Jessica have decided to return producing the show for next season. Shout out to them. I am very grateful that Danielle is giving us the raise the roof in the background. I am just very excited that we were renewed for a new season. I didn't see this coming. I thought, it wasn't exactly what we planned for season 1. But when we got the season 2 renewal, all of us were just really excited. And the group chat was just emojis with party and confetti. I'm just talking shit at this point. We will see you all in September for season 2 of the Jarrett Hill Show. That will take us from September through the election, as we see what this country is going to do with its midterms. I hope that you have a great summer. I'll see you back here in September. You thought I was done, because I did too. One more thing. I have some art that I'm going to be selling on Etsy, and I would love for you to check it out. We are selling some of the hand-painted cards and envelopes and things that I've made that they unfold into paintings, or some really cool media that I'm showing you right now on the screen. You can go to jarretthill.com for more information on how to connect with the Etsy store and all the things. It is a limited release. I'm only doing like a short drop of them, but there are a few dozen in different colorways and sizes and all those different things. So if you want to check those out as well, I'd appreciate it. And I hope that you could get one of the ones that are still available. Oh, and another thing coming up in September, for those of you that are familiar with my book, Historically Black Phrases, co-authored with the Tre'vell Anderson, our book has a new companion that will be coming out in September. You can pre-order it now. It's a card game that you can play with your friends and family at home or wherever you are. It is called Watch Your Mouth, and it will be available in September. You can pre-order it right now. We're very excited to be bringing you this game that takes what we did in Historically Black Phrases in terms of language and turns it into trivia and a game, and it'll learn you something, it'll teach you something, but also you'll have like a lot of fun with it. It is really rooted in a lot of what we did on the game show, Historically Black Phrases Live, that you can catch in different cities at different times. So please pre-order the game, check it out. We'd love to have you experience it with your friends, and we'll be doing some more promotion things around that as it gets closer. But y'all are some of the first folks to hear about it online and to be able to pre-order it. So go to historicallyblackphrases.com/card game to find out more about the game and to pre-order it. I think that's it. You did it. Oh, and another thing. Hey, what's up? I'm Jarrett, and you just finished watching a clip from The Jarrett Hill Show. The Jarrett Hill Show, me being Jarrett Hill. And I would love it if you would like, subscribe, share with your friends, talk to someone about what you saw, and we'll see you next time.